All right, welcome back. Yeah. So these were some of the challenges that we are seeing in our day-to-day kind of a preschool. In our preschools, we definitely see this. But what happens here is like in case of the teacher is very confident in working with younger children, especially at the preschool levels. What happens here is like children are still developing here on skills like emotional development. They're still struggling with social development. The children are still learning certain how to behave in a social circumstance wherein they are coming out for the first time away from home, or even being away from their parents. They definitely have a lot of anxiety issues also, so children are very anxious in such a time. What happens here is like if the teacher is implementing effective classroom management strategies and she is engaging the children in a very wonderful way, thereby ensuring that these children are feeling very safe, very respected. So that becomes very helpful for all of us. Yes, and we definitely feel a lot of challenges. So we are just talking about the challenges that what we saw in the previous slides also. One of the other challenges that we always see in our preschools is related to language. Correct. So children do have a lot of language delays. Do you also feel? Do you want to talk about this? Language delays. Does anyone have in your preschool language delays? Because this is
Yes,
something which
ma'am.
is very, very important for us to actually work on. We know it's a milestone, right? If the child will have to communicate, the child should definitely have language. Correct? At least, basic uh, words, simple words, the child should be able to know. If they're not able to have that, they would definitely get into a delayed speech. Why do they get into the delayed speech? Because the child has limited vocabulary. If they have limited vocabulary, difficulty in forming sentences. Yes. And if they are having limited vocabulary, again, trouble in understanding what my teacher is telling. And if the teacher is interacting with them, they have still challenges too for the social communication. So all these are problems that sometimes we see in our classes. So what you can always do is like if the child has got limited vocabulary compared to the other peers, yes, now there is a language delay. So the child is still struggling. Now you go further. As a teacher, you go further, check again. Why is the child having difficulty? Maybe the language issue. The teacher is only talking in English, but the child knows only Hindi. Maybe that could be the reason. Then the teacher identifies, oh, Hindi, the child is understanding, but English, the child is not having. But if you speak in Hindi also, the child is still having difficulty in following instructions, then there is a delay in the speech. Okay, there is a delay in the speech. If the child has delay in the speech, they cannot form sentences. They cannot engage in any language rich exercises. They might be only using the hand gestures to point out anything. Say, suppose in case if they want a cookie, they might only keep pointing on that. So you can start working on that. So this is where the teachers would monitor the progress of the child, and you can talk to the parent and you can ask them to consult a speech therapist or any specialist if necessary. Okay, so always try to work on a lot of language interaction exercises with them before you assess. So the next part of the training, when we are working with learning disabilities, language becomes one part, and we would see very much in detail over there. Okay, so eventually, not only the language delays what we see, we also see a lot of children crying. This is especially during the beginning of the school years. So as teachers, we understand about this. We try to comfort them with our soothing voice and never say why you cry. Okay, always have a soothing voice, always be very comforting to them, and reflect what is your way. If the teacher is very calm, maybe even the child who is crying will modify their routine accordingly. The child will also try to calm down because you are comforting the child. You can sing very calming songs like Where is Pumpkin? You can definitely sing by taking the names of the children. Not the crying child, you can take the name of the other child. So I can start singing like, where is Rimpa? Where is Rimpa? Here is she. Here is she. And but Priyanka is crying in my class, right? So you can definitely work on this particular exercises to help our children to work. So you have to be very, very calming. Use lot of physical activities. Every day there has to be an active game given to the class. So I hope you're all involving your children in active games, right? So physical activities are something which is required. So when you're having your curriculum planned, when you're having your lesson planned, give a game. If the teacher is teaching English, maybe the second period or the third period, you can have a PE session on English language. Go pick the letter A, the child can run, pick the letter A and come back. So you are working on helping the child to run. The teacher can go on hop and get some activities, swap this particular exercises. You can give them anything. So physical engagement is very, very important no matter what subjects you teach. It could be language, it could be math, it could be cultural science, it could be art, anything, but physical exercises are important. One of the most important, no matter academics is important or not, but helping the child to be very modeled in the class is also important, especially cleaning up. After your class is all done, you have to clean up your class and only then you leave. So please keep 10 minutes of your time before you wind up for your session. Ask the children to clean up. So in our schools, we have our toddlers cleaning up the tables also before they leave. That's the last exercise that they do. So you ask Divya ma'am, would you give them to wipe? Yes. We give them the small buckets of water. Children can actually take it. We have sprays. Children can spray. So every day there are groups, red house, yellow house, green house, and blue house. So 4 children of the red house will go spray on every table. 4 children of the green house can go wipe or scrub the table. 4 of the blue house can go and dry that particular table. And the other 4 children will collect all those materials and keep it back in the ring, so that the aunties can take it back. So what you're trying to model over here, I do have aunties to support, but you're still working on the practical life skills for the children to keep their environment neat and clean. And we as teachers and parents, we feel that these exercises are overburdening for a child, but just think on the child's perspective, they love. Giving them the spray activity, it is establishing on their finger muscle control. Asking the child to scrub the table makes them understand that, you need to keep your objects very tidy in the class. So this is modeling behavior. So the teachers can have the small Bluetooths for every classes and you can keep it in your class. When the children are tidying up, you can go on tidy up, let's tidy up. Or you can work on any clean up songs like, clean up, everybody just clean up. So the teacher can clean the blackboard. All these are essentials for us before we wind up. And if you have a head teacher, she can give marks. She can give stars for each class every day. Collectively, she can come and she can mark a star on your chart. So over a period of 15 days or after a month, the classes can be rewarded. How do you reward a class? How do you reward a class? Maybe the head of the institution can give them 4 apples, 5 apples as reward. So you can cut the apple and you can have it as a snack break in your classes. So you're trying to encourage healthy eating in your classes, but at the same time, the children do get the credibility. They get the honors of keeping their class very beautiful. This is something that we always do in our classes, and every month the class gets rewarded. Okay. And even the same thing, we also have another activity, like, not wasting food. We also see how much of the food is being wasted in every class. So that also puts a pressure on the teacher. It also puts the pressure on the children. Is it a pressure? I don't call it a pressure. But again, the child should also know how much they can take. There are parents who pack 3 chapatis, 4 chapatis for toddlers. I have seen 5 idlis and 6 idlis, which even an adult cannot be able to eat. They would have already had breakfast at home, but they also carry the snack of such a larger portion. So it's your responsibility to educate the parents also to pack the rightful meals so that the child is confident enough in completing those exercises. So that's how you would work on helping your classes. Hand wash is important again. You teach them how to keep their hands clean all the time. Give them opportunities to practice hygiene. Not only hand washing, to wear neat clothes, to wear pressed clothes, to, dress up themselves, to unbutton and button, to wear their shoes and socks on their own, to put their school bag. on their own. All these are something which is related to their personal exercises. There are children who actually get distracted when the teacher is trying to say something. Why do children get distracted in the classes? Multiple reasons. Multiple reasons. There could be eye-catching visual somewhere. There could have been some noise from outside. So the children would definitely get distracted. Okay, if one child gets distracted, what happens? The entire class might also get distracted. So the teacher notices this immediately and then she calls for a break. How do I do a break? I don't say, children, oh, what about this child? I don't say, Rohan, why are you doing that? Why are you peeping out? I don't say that. Maybe I start looking at Rohan and then I can say a quick hello to him and I can continue my class. So Rohan catches my attention and he's like, oh, Divya ma'am is watching me. I might better focus. Or I can take a quick break and I can sing a song so that my entire class attention is gotten back. So this is something which is very, very important, that there are distractions in the classes. There are students who distract the other students, but as teachers, you should definitely observe what is the kind of disruption that this boy or the girl is going to do. Are they pinching? Are they biting? Are they taking their objects? Are they troubling them? There are multiple kinds of things. You have to distract. Okay, so you can separate them or you can put them together or you can give them that individualized space and you give them a reminder. I don't want you to do this again. Okay, and you have to redirect a positive behavior for our children. In your class, say if you're having a long day, we function from 8:30 to 2:30 in our school. So we have a longer period of working hours. So what you can always do is like for 15 minutes, you can give children some kind of a break. So you can put some lullaby and children can just relax. Do this in your preschools also, even if it's for 10 minutes, do this exercise because resting is also required. Let them just close their eyes and let them be, sleep and then they can actually get up. But this has to be a soft music. You have to play a soft music. It has to be a calming area, maybe close to the library or close to the, anyway, even in the classroom is fine. So the children can actually put their head down and you can play some kind of a music. Okay, so the teacher can actually say some affirmations at that time. Okay, so it can actually calm the children and then you can go back to your next period. And always remember, engagement is very, very important when it comes down to classroom learning. How a teacher can prepare the classroom materials is very important. Is it a Montessori curriculum that you do? Is it a kindergarten curriculum? Is it multiple intelligence by Gardner's principle? Whatever curriculum that you follow, hands-on materials are a must. You need to set your class with amazing materials. You can't run to another room to borrow their materials. You need to keep your materials. You can have some puppets. You can have finger puppets. You can have some kind of a flashcards. You can have placards. You can have crayons. You can have paint. Whatever are the initial supplies that you actually needed for your classroom so that, your class children will always be focused. If I have a distraction in my class, I can take a puppet immediately and I can still teach using the same material. So I'm trying to reinforce the same with the hands-on exercises. See, especially teachers, when we're working with such young children, you need to engage them. If you're engaging them one after the other activities, your class is going to be blessed. But if you can't engage activities in a very properful way, and if you don't have the planner of what for the first 20 minutes, how for the next 20 minutes, if you don't have a time schedule, it becomes very chaotic for all of us to actually work. So that puts us again on a challenge, like how well that you can plan your classes, how well that you can actually do. Because as I mentioned, the children's attention span is very, very less than 7 minutes. So you have to keep engaging. So to summarize, I can have hands-on exercises. What could be the hands-on exercises? The good ones are sand trace. Anything which is related to the elements of earth, sand, water, right? All of that, air, all of that becomes very essential for all our children to actually work. So I can give them sand trace. They can trace in the sand trace. I can give them water play. They can filter out certain things. They can work on the sorting exercises. The other thing could be I can give them building blocks. I can give them the storytelling props. See how children are able to work hands-on and they start exploring. When they start exploring, they develop curiosity. When they're developing curiosity, it is stimulating certain senses for them to do more. And that's how they learn from one another. And when the teachers are giving these exercises, you can also sing songs, right? So music and movement is very essential for them. So that's the reason when you start your day, we always start with music movement, correct? The music and movement sessions can be anywhere to teach concepts of numbers, letters, and other things. But don't keep teaching the same old traditional songs. You can modify those. You can get into classic songs. Classic songs are the ones that we have all learned, right? And then you can get into thematic songs. You can have narrative songs. You can have descriptors, theater-oriented songs, conversational songs, right? So those are some of the songs which can actually help the children to actually build vocabulary. So when they're able to build vocabulary, they're able to learn conceptuals through songs and movements, your classes are going to be very, very rejoiceful. We know about this. So how do I break my class? 5 to 10 minutes is what I told, attention span, right? But your class, every teacher gets 40 minutes. Coloring period is 40 minutes. Now I give them the coloring sheet and the children scribble, especially my toddlers. When I give them the coloring sheet, 1 minute, it is all done. So what I do generally is like, I don't give them the coloring sheet. I ask every child to go pick only one color. Okay. So the colors are kept really far. It has to be taking turns. Only after the first child goes, picks the color and comes, the second child can go. So what am I indirectly teaching in my coloring class? Walking. The child is like walking, going to the shelf, picking a color of his choice and coming back to the desk. But when he is standing, he should also learn about how to stand, how to pull back his chair, how to push back his chair onto the desk, how to walk quietly without bumping onto the other students. Now, what is the second child learning? The second child is patiently waiting for the first one to come back and sit. Look at the eagerness. The child wants to complete it. Now, what if I have a very slow child? He's like, seeing what kind of colors can I pick? Can I pick a crayon or do I pick an oil pastel? The child has a lot of confusion. So what happens? There is a pressure that is built on the third child who's already waiting. So that is where you're teaching them patience. You're teaching them to take turns. You will wait for your turn, no matter what it is. You can't go. And you have to encourage the other child. Why is he taking so much of time? You need to give them that choice. So all these are like, how do you break? Now see, my 15 minutes can be engaged where the child just went to pick the color. Now I can tell them, children, I have kept my sheets on my desk. You can pick it up. Each one picks it up. And then I'm showing them how to color. And I give them an instruction. See, never do one-to-one. One-to-one is required when it is very much required. Otherwise, you can break them into smaller groups and you can do a group learning. Each time that you're going to every individual child and do, your time would actually just go out of nowhere. And you will not be able to complete your curriculum too. So then you can show them collectively and you can say, okay, this is the part that you're going to color green. The teacher also takes the pencil or the crayon and she also starts to color green. How do I color? From right to left, left to right, or top to bottom. The teacher shows them how to color. The other thing is like, how do you hold your pencil? The grip is also very essential. You will also teach them the tricks, how to hold a pencil. So your instructions becomes another part. So what happens here is like, even though it's a coloring, there's a lot of an instruction that actually goes beyond. So now the child doesn't get bored. The child doesn't become restless, right? Because there is a lot of other activities which is actually going. I'm trying to talk. So communication skills are happening. I'm trying to self-regulate my skills. I'm learning how to do it. So there is self-regulation. Is my teacher teaching me how to color? There is something new that I learned today. Am I developing cognitive skills? If my teacher is asking me, am I able to reply why, when, where, what? Go pick there. Did he pick? Yes. Is that color green? Yes, ma'am. Is it a dark green? Yes, ma'am. Is it a light green? Yes, ma'am. Do you like to color with this? Yes or no. The child should be able to give you the answers. So I'm working on my cognitive skills. Am I practicing social skills? Yes, I group children in 3-4. I ask them, I always put a smarter child with other 2 children. Never put 2 difficult children in one group. It's always difficult. Extend their thinking. If somebody had colored purple apple, ask them, why did you color an apple purple? Have you ever seen? So let the children think about it. If there is a conflict, resolve. Let them resolve. Let them problem solve by themselves. Okay. All these things, I need to put it under my 40 minutes of my session, wherein you have to give 5 to 10 minutes for each of these exercises. And now my coloring period of 40 minutes becomes amazing. They are done with it. Then you ask them to do a self check. Is everybody colored it correctly? Oh, I can see some white in some pages. Is there any white color in any of your pages? Check, check, check. The child goes like, yes, I do have it. So what do you do, children? Always ask them. So we have to pick and color it again. So always do that. So that is how you break it into smaller segments. And this can happen only when you have a good, prepared, dynamic environment, which has got amazing themes how to actually work on. You might have themed corners, you might have interactive charts, you might have vibrant visuals. It's up to you. But do you have a dedicated space where the child is doing all these exercises? Then it becomes easy for all of us. You have a different area for reading, and the teachers put a signboard that we have to be quiet when we pick up a book. It's an art station. You display all your art. So as soon as you see it so visually appealing, so children do get a lot of ideas. They learn about colors. Then you go to your story time. There's lots of books. There are puppets. Children can actually role play. You have a small puppet theater. See how you set up your different corners of your school. That itself interests the child. That itself puts them to that curiosity. So the child understands it much better. So this is how we explore. And we know about storytelling. So there are no storytellings. Most of them, we always do it with props, right? So you can use puppets or pictures or even toys you can actually bring. And you can share some kind of a stories with all of them. And this is going to help all the students. Peer interaction, as I said, yes. So once in a week, there is a no book rule in your school. Fridays, we don't have books. They don't carry books. So the children don't carry the books. They can come and there could be multiple games that you can actually play. It could be Ludo, it could be Sudoku, it could be Carom, it could be chess, it could be anything. Logical developmental activities from Grolier series, anything. So when children are doing this, at least once a period, you tell them no book, you do something different. The child can actually turn. So this is where you will know what the child likes. This is where the child will learn to collaborate with the others. And you can even bring the children of other classes also, like, older children and the younger children, you can mix them. They can teach. So that's how they also learn to be with the other peers. Okay, so this is where they exhibit their leadership skills. A lot of games you can bring. You can have bingo. See, a math teacher will be amazed to bring bingo to the classes because anyway, she's reinforcing numbers, right? So children know about it. What could be the reward? You can give them a sticker, or you can give them any kind of a goodie. You can give them a cookie. You can give them a sharpener. You can give them an eraser as a takeaway for all of them. Okay. So these could be some games that we can actually do. Field trips, I think all the preschools will do. Take them out, have scavenger hunts. Scavenger hunts are beautiful. No matter whatever topics that you actually do, this is very nice. But take them in smaller groups so your exercise is going to be good. Okay, so that is one. Give a lot of choices. So I don't want to work on this particular thing because we know we have a lot of resources in our schools. We do that. But as teachers, you should also use a good amount of interactive educational apps. You need to also have good videos to supplement your teaching. If at all, if you have your interactive boards or screens in your classes, use them in a creative way. Always use this as a tool because visual learners can learn better. And technology, since we have it, it becomes more or less easier for us to engage our children in a new way. So if you're not very much sure about how exactly you would be able to use the technology, learn. That becomes your goal of how well you will be able to work on that. So to consolidate everything on the first part of our today's program, what we generally do is like we need to reflect and we need to adapt. Okay, so what are the three important points that we're going to be retrospecting? We observe every child. Whatever activity you give, you need to know this. I have to observe the child. What is the activity that I am giving? How am I engaging the child? Okay, every activity that I give, is my child engaging with that? Observe that. If the child is not engaging, change your activity. Every children are doing, one child is not able to have it, modify the lesson. Every child is doing, I modified the lesson. Since this child is not able to do that, is there a problem? Identify that. Okay, so you can modify, retrospect, and rework on the same exercises based upon your groups. It could be based on individual child or it could be based on your class groups. Collect the feedback from children. How is the class, children? Take the feedback. Did you enjoy it? See how well that they are smiling, they're applauding you. Take that feedback, because engagement, encouragement also should be given to the teachers also, right? It's all about how you teach them. How are you going to incorporate the blending with fun and learning? That's very important to all of us. So always have that child in you. Always you also be very curious, be very active. Wear a comfortable shoe every day, wear comfortable clothing in your classes, because I know as preschool teachers you will have a lot of work, and I know your teachers, your head of the schools will always keep you on toes. You would not even have a moment to sit down and relax until your children are back home. Yes, so this is something that is our classroom management training all about. Okay, so yes, keeping all this in mind is what we come to the conclusion of the classroom management training, and how beautifully we can actually work on this. It's a big topic actually. It's a very critical aspect of learning also. These are very few that we have actually picked up. So anytime that you want to have a wonderful positive classroom, keep a welcoming atmosphere. I see your class has got that center tree to the pillar. You have made that. That is very welcoming. Okay, I love that. And the colors, what you have used, is very subtle. You have not used any bright colors, which is very distracting. And I believe the furniture of your school where the children are seated is also child friendly. And since you are using an ICT, I think you definitely have an interactive material, right? So this is like overstimulating for you. The children would love to come back to your preschool. So that's there. And what is your routine? What is your structure? Keep on to that and build a very strong relationship with every student. Okay. Find out what is the child's strength. Find out what is the child's interest. Find out where is the child struggling. What is the challenge that you need to accept. So when you know as a teacher, you're going to make a personalized effort in bringing that exercise in a very wonderful way. Okay, so that's one of the thing. And to model behavior positively, we have seen a lot of reinforcement. Always try to model the negative behavior of the child. So don't scream or shout or yell at the child. Okay, so be very calm, because when the teacher is very calm, the children can also learn from that. And participation is very, very important. We know about it. And cooperation is required. Parents should also cooperate when the teacher is saying something. So be flexible, be adaptable, and keep your emotions to your own self. Okay, so take a deep breath. I know teachers sometimes we also get upset, right? Even after me teaching so much, this child is not learning. I've tried my best to calm this little one, but still the child is so overwhelmed. The child is still not getting control on, himself. Yes, we do have these ups and downs, but yes, we as children also, we also should manage our emotions. That's there. And keep your instructions very simple and make a note. Every day, once you wind up your day, make a note how your class went, what you thought, what went good, what went wrong, what could have been better. And at least few words on every child. What were they good at? Where do I work on them? Okay, so this will all become your classroom management sessions. Okay, now we move to the second part of the training. That's related to, yeah, I just wanted to give you 5 or 8 minutes for the questions. Do we have any questions on this? Do we have any questions? Anything related to your classes you can ask. Any challenges, any queries that you're actually having?
Yes, ma'am. Just wanted to ask you how to handle a hyperactive child in a class.
How to handle a hyperactive child? Okay. What is the age of the child?
5 years, 5 to 6.
5 years. Okay. And the child has been in your school?
Yes, miss.
How many years?
1.5 years.
1.5 years. Okay. So do you have any previous history of the child?
Sorry, ma'am.
Do you have any previous history from the previous class teacher?
No, he was like this only, ma'am, hyperactive.
Hyperactive. Okay. See, one is like in case if the child is very hyperactive, it could be the symptoms of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive syndrome. Okay. So this can be a medical condition for a child, and handling such hyperactive children in preschools require a lot of patience. I have to tell you that. And it definitely needs a lot of positive strategies to channel his energy. Now, what as a teacher, in case if it has not been recognized earlier, and even if the parent is not recognized, even if the school has not recognized, the school is recognized, that I'm very sure that you're telling me on this. But if it is not notified to the teacher that the child has ADHD, then how do you work? You need to set clear expectation. You have to show the child every day what is the visual schedule. Because these children, if they are not consistent to that routine, the hyperactiveness can become more if they do not know, if they don't have that consistency. So you can give them a lot of frequent breaks, interactive activities, like you have to burn their energy. That's the most important things. Make them dance, take them outdoor. You can send them with their auntie or any caretaker that you actually have. Give them a lot of games which is going to burn down their energy. So they have to channelize the energy in a positive way. But do you have offering help, or it is only you managing the child along with your other classes? It becomes difficult. You definitely need to get some kind of a shadow help, so that when you are taking the classes, this boy or the girl can be engaged with any manipulator. But if they're not engaged, they become even more hyper. So during that time, they can provide puzzles, they can provide building blocks. Okay, so their mind and their hands are being occupied. There's a lot on this particular thing. Okay, so we see on the learning disability part. Work on that way.
Ma'am, morning.
Hmm.
We have a child in our school.
Okay.
Like, he has no social skills, ma'am. No social interaction with others.
Okay.
Like, how to handle this kind of children.
No social interaction with others.
Yes, ma'am.
He's always quiet in the class.
He's always quiet. He's always busy with his work. No social, no friendship. Yes.
What about the eye contact?
No eye contact.
Okay.
It's not having eye contact.
No eye contact.
Only sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes if I call his name, sometimes.
Okay.
Yes,
when you call him by his name, does he respond?
ma'am, sometimes actually.
Okay, he responds very rarely. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other?
He can identify alphabets, numbers, everything, but he doesn't have any social interaction with other children.
Okay, so other concepts he is able to understand, but only the difficulty is like no social
But he
interaction.
never responds.
Doesn't
Never
respond.
responds.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And did you see that there could be a possibility of autism? Is there anywhere? Because these are
Yes, yes.
some of the conditions of ASD. Does the child have autism spectrum disorder?
Actually, parents have not yet informed us, so but I think yes.
You think, okay. See, whenever the child does not have the eye contact and they're in their own world and they very rarely respond to the teacher's command. So these are some of the developmental delay characteristics which can be associated. You can be right, you can be wrong. But most of the time, the teachers can't be wrong. And autism is one of the symptoms that most of them get to know in the preschool years. Because as parents, they would have seen only their child, right? So they would have thought my child is all good. But as teachers, you would have seen hundreds of children. The moment that there is a differentiation between this child and this child, the teacher gets an understanding. So this is a developmental delay and you know about it. But you need to get a proper evaluation from a specialist to tell this. So what you can do here, ma'am, is like, you can call the parent and you can tell them about the points that you have observed in the class. So you can tell that, during the social interaction, ma'am, I have seen the child, even though they are paired up with one or the small peers, also the child is not able to engage. Correct? I, as a teacher, I had a buddy system for one child, another child, but still the child is not able to engage. Do you check with that? Still easy modeling social behaviors, is still not able to connect with them. Like it could be a basic greeting by giving a handshake. Is he looking at the other friend of him? If it is not, then there is a social delay. Now, visual support. Say, suppose in case if he is not giving eye contact, check with the other things. Any card that you show, is he able to see? Okay. If you're making any sound, can he respond from where the sound is actually coming? Okay. If it is not, then yes, there is a problem. You have to write a report and you have to ask them to meet a therapist. You have to. You don't have to wait for such longer period of time. Yeah, these children will be very good in their strengths. It could be numbers or it could be any concept building. They would really be very good with that. But yeah, they have to work. Yes? Yes, yes.
What should I do if all the children complain at once? What should we do?
No. What if?
What should we do if all the children complain at once?
They're complaining at once.
At once, yes.
Is it shouting or complaining?
Complaining.
Complaining about what?
About pencils, erasers.
Okay. So it is about meaning, right? How should you manage? How do you manage?
Yes.
How do you manage at that time? Is there a way that you manage? It's challenging, right? So when you don't talk to the child also, children will feel, oh, my teacher is not hearing, listening to me.
Yes.
And they go back to the home and also they'll say, I spoke to ma'am, but ma'am did not respond.
Yes.
And the parent will come back and they're like, why didn't you respond to my child? See, this is what it is actually. You also have to introduce a classroom rule. If you want to talk, raise your hand. No voices, only the hands go up. Tell this as a classroom's rules. Okay, so there is a visual cue in our class. You can always say, whereas the children, we have always had this particular thing that, when you want to say something, you raise your hand. Hands are raised first before your mouth is speaking. When I'm talking, you will not talk. When you're talking, I'm not talking. When your friends are talking, you will not talk. So it's one at a time. So keep reinforcing. See what happens, any command, the child needs more than 50 to 70 times to get into their little brain. So you should also have patience, model, remodel, every time show them the cues. Children, what did I say? One at a time. And appreciate for being nice the next time. Pencil, another thing, you have to tell them that's your problem. How do we deal with that? Somebody took a pencil. Okay, that's your friend. What should you do? Can you please give me back your pencil? You can ask. You don't have to tell for a teacher. You're good enough. You can ask your pencil back. Or you can lend your pencil. But to the other child, you also say, you wanted the pencil, but how could you take it? Did you say please to him? Please, can I borrow your pencil? So when you start modeling these behaviors, it becomes easy for a child. Okay, so we're going to disconnect again because we have less than a minute and we reconnect back.